What's up YouTube? This is Sean. I am back again, and in this video we're going to do something a little bit different. We're not going to be working on EVA foam, crafting, whatever, and you guys don't worry, I'm not leaving Eva. Eva will always be a part of my life. But the folks over at Tevo was like, hey Sean, why don't you do any 3D printing in your videos? I'm like, I will if you send me one. And then they were like, sure, why not? So yeah, a little bit of disclosure, I didn't pay for this 3D printer and they didn't pay me for this video, so don't expect a unboxing and building video because you guys didn't show up here for that. But I will tell you my first impression, they did a really good job in the packing because the box showed up with a really big nasty dent on the bottom right below fragile, do not break. But anywho, I'm really glad they did a really good job packing this because nothing in the box seems to be damaged or missing. So I've always been a budget 3D printer kind of guy, and putting this thing together was just way too easy. I'm like thinking there must be a catch or something because I was up and printing in about 20 minutes. And this was my first test print, which I am printing a bearing holder thingy for another printer I needed to upgrade. So yeah, I had to use another printer to upgrade another printer. Does that make sense? Now, I didn't really upgrade anything on this printer. The only thing I did change, of course, was the printing nozzle. Came with a 0.4, but I went and used a 0.6 just so I can make things a little bit quicker. And I also added some Kapton tape to the print bed, which is made out of glass, and I really like that because on my other 3D printer has a piece of glass that's clipped onto it, and this one I don't really need to, which is a big plus for me. Now this is a little vase that I designed in 123 design, and it's a little vase that I always print out whenever I build a new 3D printer. Alright, so now I'm ready to print. Should I go ahead and print me a test cube, or what about a Benchy or a rocket? And you're probably thinking, Sean, we didn't show up for that. We want a gun. I mean, a real gun, like this kind of gun. That's what I'm talking about. Some cosplay, bro. So I went to my one-stop shop at Thingiverse and I found me a bunch of 3D models. And I'm like, yeah, let's start printing. First thing I'm gonna print is the stock for the Nerf gun. And I went and used the stock setting on Kira. And yeah, they actually have a preset setting in Kira for the Tevo Tornado. And I was like, wow, you know what, I'm gonna try that. But at first it was like, man, I think it's really thin, but let's just give it the benefit of the doubt and try it out. And man, that bed, man, it really heats up and it sticks. But yeah, so far I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, how hard is it to remove the support? And I'm gonna try to do this by hand with no pliers and tools, and it seemed to come out pretty easy. Nothing really stuck onto the actual part that I printed. Now I did see some artifacts. I also see some the infill lines, and that's probably because the walls are probably too thin for the printing nozzle that I'm using, which is the 0.6. So I went back to Kira and I thickened up the wall to 1.2. The walls are a lot thicker and I don't see any infill lines, but this side does look a lot smoother than the other side, and that's probably because the parts fan is blown on one side, which will require an upgrade later on. But right now we're gonna work with what we got, and so far the parts is looking a lot better. It is a whole lot stronger support material. Didn't really stick to the parts. There is a little bit of cleaning up that I need to do, but it's not that bad. And this is a Nerf gun that I'm going to mod. I'm going to take out the clip there. And while I'm doing that, I went ahead and 3D printed some Picatinny rails, so that way I can put some accessories to the Nerf gun because we want this thing to look awesome. And I also made a clip for the flashlight, which was the wrong design. This is for a stock Nerf, which won't work with the Picatinny rail. So I went and printed another flashlight clip that worked with the Picatinny rail, and I even made some Red Hood emblem because, duh, that's what we're working on, right? Wait, is this the first time I'm mentioning Red Hood? Well then, surprise, we're working on Red Hood. And here's the $1 flashlight I got from Walmart, and it worked perfect for this clip. And this is the cocking mechanism that I'm going to use that replaced that clip that I just removed. And I needed to make the space for the 1/4-20 bolt that's going to slide right through there. And I used a hot knife to open it up. And now I'm going to file everything nice and clean because that looks really jaggedy. I scuffed all the surface and applied some super glue primer. And I scuffed that printed part too. And then I'm adding some super glue only to one surface. And once I put everything together, it just bond like almost instantly. Now, as for the Picatinny rails, I'm going to shoot some screws in there because it's going to be holding some accessories. And the last thing I want is for it to fall off. And there is the extended barrel that I printed. I even printed the scope, which is going to go on top. Now, let's fast forward and skip the whole painting process and show you the final result. I went and painted everything black, and then I went and dry brushed the chrome on there to give it the old metal look, and I'm thinking it's looking really sick. Yeah, let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. Now, the next thing on my list is a utility belt because I didn't want to make it out of foam. I mean, I made a few of those already. I figured why not just 3D print me a really cool belt buckle. And yeah, I designed this off of 123 design, which is kind of old school because Autodesk doesn't even support 123 design anymore. And here are some what do you call these things? These pouches, right? Yeah, and they're functional too. I mean, I actually designed them to fit business cards and credit cards and driver's license, but why would you want to carry driver's license and your credit card in there? I mean, business cards, yeah, makes sense. Or even like social network cards, if that's even such a thing. But yeah, now I could have gotten away without printing the support, but I forgot to turn that off on Kira before I saved the files over to the SD card. But yeah, I mean, wasn't that much work to remove the support, and everything was starting to look pretty legit. And now I did design this with enough clearance to have everything snap into place without the use of a tool. But I did have my channel lock handy just in case I needed it. And yeah, so far so groovy, and I'm starting to dig what I'm cooking. Now there's several ways to remove layer lines, and this is like my poor man's way of reducing the layer lines. I'm mixing cornstarch with acrylic paint. I'm gonna start off with some glossy stuff, and then I'm gonna mix it. And notice as I'm mixing it, the paint doesn't really lose its color tone. It actually keeps its color pretty well, but it does go from gloss to matte when you apply it. And once you mix it all the way through, you're gonna have this pasty looking thingy. Just think of it as high fill primer that you can apply with a paintbrush, and it's non-toxic. And yeah, I mean, it's brush strokes over layer lines, but you can always go through and thin down the cornstarch mix with more acrylic paint. That will reduce the brush strokes. And then I like to go back and shoot some Windex on it and then thin it down a little bit more, and that would eliminate the brush strokes completely. But I kind of dig the whole battle look, so yeah, I'm just gonna stick with one coat of this I don't know what you call it. Let's call it the acrylic cornstarch batch because it makes sense, right? And I've already painted all my pieces, and this is kind of how it goes on this nylon strap belt thingy. And yeah, I'm really digging my new utility belt, and if you're digging it too, then I'll leave a link in the description below for some free STL downloads. Yeah, I said free. You like free. So let's move along to the mask. I went to Thingiverse, and this guy Kill Onions, was it Killonius? I'm sorry if I kung fu that up. I get it all the time myself. But anyways, he's got this really cool Deathstroke mask, and it's got 2 eyes, which is perfect for my Redhood cosplay. and he's even got them chopped up into itsy bitsy pieces for smaller 3D printer. But I don't have that problem because the build volume on the Tevo Tornado is 300 by 300 by 400, which is plenty enough room to print this mask in one piece. And according to display, it says I am 2 hours in to this mask helmet print, and it's only done support, and this was like 13 hours into the print, and I'm getting really close. And the total print time on this helmet was like 20 hours at 0.3 layer height. And you're thinking 20 hours, man, that's a long time. Then again, it's not really 20 hours of physical work. I mean, you can actually set it to print, walk away, go to sleep, have dinner, go watch a movie, do other stuff, and come back and your print is done. I mean, that's basically what I did. I worked on other stuff. And yeah, and here it is with it all done, and it's time for me to knock out the support. This is like the support, which is not like the real support. But man, it is so clean how easy it came out. And right there on the, I guess the very top, that's like the support that actually holds it to the bed. And even that didn't have that much cleaning up to do. And yeah, I mean, I'm really digging it. I mean, I think I can just scrape some of that off with a razor blade or a putty knife. And here are the inside support, which didn't really take much effort to break apart, especially when using a 0.6 millimeter tip, because usually when you use a larger tip, you sacrifice with support. They're usually a pain in the butt to come off, but this one was really easy. There's a lot of stringing, so I may need to play around with retraction and stuff, which I don't really know much about, but you know, I'll learn. And here is the top part right here. Like, I actually cleaned it off with a pair of pliers and a razor blade. I was able to just like slide it and trim some of it off. And I did some mild sanding, and this time I'm using XTC 3D to smoothen out the layer lines. And I don't really like using XTD 3D, whatever, because it requires a lot of sanding. I mean, it did reduce the layer lines, but it made the layer lines a lot fatter. So there was like less layer lines, but bigger ones. And I did do some sanding. This is what it looks like after the paint job. I mean, I'm really happy with it. And this is the kind of stuff that you get from 3D print. You can't get that out of Eva. Now, I did go back and tweak the settings on Kira for the back half, and I did do this in 0.2 layer height, and it looks a lot cleaner. This is gonna require a lot less post sanding and stuff like that. And yeah, now I'm gonna go and add some carbon fiber to the eyepiece, because the Red Hood mask is black around the eyes. I basically took some masking tape and I taped it on the mask, and then traced out the patterns, and then I traced out that pattern on some carbon fiber vinyl and glue that on. And then on the inside, I went and glue on some white mesh so that you don't see the eyes. Gives it that white look, made it look pretty cool. So I've had this 3D printer for a week now, and I was able to do me a really cool looking Nerf mod. I printed some parts out of Thingiverse, and this was the final result. I even made me a utility belt that was functional, that I can carry around business cards and whatnot, which is really cool. And a shout out to Kelonius for these really awesome models. Yeah, and there's Deathstroke, because why not? So what do I think about the Tevo Tornado? I really dig it. I mean, I really do. The one thing I didn't really like about it was when I homed it, the extruder tip sits right on top of the bed, and I wasn't able to clean out my tips before the print starts. But whenever it does start, it does this little purging thingy where it kind of just slides over and it cleans off the tip. It actually works better when I had Kapton tape on the print bed, or you know, I could put masking tape there to clean off that tip. So I guess it kind of evens out, right? Now, I do like that the heated bed is insulated, because it didn't take very long for the bed to heat up, and I really love the glass heat bed. And yeah, the cables were really clean, but I do plan on doing an upgrade and probably put a cable tray there somewhere. Now, I was a little bit skeptic about the single lead screw for the Z-axis, but the prints did come out looking pretty clean. Rails were nice and smooth. This is probably the quietest and the smoothest 3D printer I own. I would definitely recommend this if this was going to be your first 3D printer, because it was absolutely no headache putting this thing together. I actually enjoyed putting it together, and I was up and printing in no time at all. So yeah, and if this is what you're into, I mean, if this is what you're really into, then there are some links in the description down below so you can get your hands on your own Tevo Tornado. Well, I guess that's it for this video. Hope you guys got something out of it. Make sure you hit that like button, leave your comment in the comment section below, and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already subscribed. I want to try to focus more on some 3D printing stuff and some sewing. And let's not forget my friend Eva. I will always have her in my heart. I'll see you guys in the next video.